What's going on, YouTube? I'm here dropping another video in regards to plumbing. This video is going to be geared more towards the actual money that you can make as a plumber and getting a little bit into more of the back end of, what you should be expecting pay-wise in the plumbing field nowadays. Like I stated before in some of my other videos, I'm out here in Ohio. I know what our pricing goes for and what you should expect to make out here. I can't say for the rest of the country, uh, but Ohio, we sit pretty much like right in the middle of the pay scale. We're not on the low end, we're not on the high end. Uh, like I said, we're right in the middle. Guys in New York, California, Texas, Florida, big states, big cities, they're going to make a lot more money than us guys. But also they have a higher cost of living, so it'll kind of end up offsetting itself anyways. But to start off, what we'll talk about is we're going to talk about service plumbers. We're going to talk about new construction guys. We're also going to talk about salesmen, and we're also going to talk about the difference between union and non-union pay scales. So to start off with, your service guys, these are going to be your guys who are going out fixing your regular day-to-day plumbing, doing water heaters, fixing toilets, sewer lines, drain cleaning, things like that. If you're just starting off in the field, you're green, you don't know a whole lot, just starting at a company, whether it's big or small, you should be expecting to make at least $15 an hour. This is going to put you around, 25, 30,000 a year is good starting rate. And that's right where you should be at, especially if you know a little something. If you know absolutely nothing, you're having a hard time getting a job, you might not get that pay scale. You might get a little bit less. But if you do a good interview and get in with a good company, $15 an hour minimum is what you should be expecting. And then depending on the company where you're at, they might put you through school or through an apprenticeship program. And after about 4 or 5 years, especially if you complete that program, you should expect to go up in pay and be somewhere around the $25 to $30 an hour range, which would kind of put you around, $50 to $60,000 a year. And that's going to be dependent on if you get overtime or if you're just commission, or depending on exactly how the company's pay scale is based off. Every company is not the same, some are different. So service end, starting off around 15, you're going to end up topping out around 25, 30, and that's if you stay in that service position. I'll get into a little bit more of the different positions you can get into to raise your value and the type of money that you can make at some of these companies. And like I said, I'll get into that a little bit later in the video. Your next group of guys, though, are going to be the new construction guys. They're going to be at the lower end of the pay scale. And these are the guys that are going in, when a brand new house goes up or a brand new building or store. These are the guys that are going in and running all new pipes, water lines, sewers, things like that. There's not as much of a demand for these guys, so their pay scale is not as high. And also it's not as skilled of a job. They're, starting off out here, those guys are going to be making around $13 an hour starting off. And their pay scale will go up to, it'll be like 18, 19. I know a couple guys who are making $20 an hour, but that's like, for them, that's good money. You're not going to make much more doing that unless you work your way up to becoming a foreman or a manager for the company where you're overseeing guys, and then your pay scale will go up a little bit more. But honestly, not by a whole lot. Not unless you're really running the company or running a bunch of crews. You can't expect your pay scale to go up that much more in that field. So that's new construction. Starting at 13, topping out around 18, 19, maybe 20 if you're lucky. Now you're going to have your sales guys. Now these guys are going to be the ones that potentially make the good amount of money, and they're mostly going to be based off of commission. Now your sales guy, this is going to be somebody who's already experienced, has maybe been doing plumbing for a couple years, if not longer, 10 plus years. They're going to know the jobs already. Maybe they're a little bit older and now they're out of the field, so they're just strictly selling. Like I said, they're probably going to be some sort of commission-based pay or hourly plus commission. If they're a good plumber and they really know their stuff and they're making good sales and they do good closeouts, hourly rate, I'm not sure, but at least in terms of salary, they'll make 60,000 plus per year. And I've known a lot of guys who have made well over $100,000 a year just by doing sales, because those commissions, especially on the big jobs, usually come with some pretty big paychecks. but that's a position where you're not going to be able to start it right away unless you already have a plumbing background. You're going to have to work your way up to that and get in with the right company, somebody that'll put you in that position. Uh, the other side of it too, for pay scale wise, that you have to figure out is union versus non-union. Your non-union guys, which is kind of what I've already discussed for like your service and your new construction end, non-union, you've already got the prices for that. If you're a union person, their pay scale is going to be a little bit higher. And also they're mostly going to be commercial jobs too. There's not a whole lot of union that does residential. So they're going to be dealing with bigger jobs and a little bit harder stuff. So generally their pay scale is a little bit harder. Now starting off at the union, they'll still make around the same starting off as service or new construction. You'll be around that $15 an hour range. But after your apprenticeship, you put in 4 or 5 years with the union, you'll very easily be at the $30, $35 an hour range. You can even get a little bit higher too, especially if you become a foreman or you somehow work your way up into the managerial side of the hall. Then you could really make some money. But that's quite a bit harder to move up. Usually you got to really know people or be well connected in order to move up that way with the union. The offset though with that is they make more money, but they also have to pay into union dues, and that will take their pay scale down a little bit. It's generally not a whole lot, but they will be missing out on some of that money. The flip side of it though too is union, you generally get better benefits and you're better well taken care of there. You really don't have to worry about your job as much. But there again, if you're a decent plumber, you really don't have to worry about your job, period. You could, once you get your foot in the door and you learn a couple things, you could pretty much go anywhere with that. And it's really not that difficult. But in terms of pay scale, that pretty much breaks it down, at least, and that's for if you're working for somebody. Now, if you decide you want to get in the end of owning your own business, the pay scale completely changes. So like, for instance, where I work at, we bill out at about $120 an hour for a job. And that's, we're by the hour. There's going to be some companies, and I think as most companies nowadays, if they do what's called flat rate, they're going in a book and they kind of base the pay off of, what they think the job's going to take hour wise. It's kind of no different than when you take your car to the auto mechanic. They have a book that tells them how long a job is supposed to take, and that's how they base their shop time off of it. So you might have some jobs where, commission wise, you're making $90 an hour all the way up to a couple $100 an hour. It all depends, how quick you can get it done or how smooth the job goes. But that changes the pay scale quite a bit, especially if you're the owner in that situation. If you're the owner and you're making all that money on top, that's quite a bit more than the guys who are, topping out at $25, $30 an hour. Now, with that being said, yeah, you're making 120, to a couple $100 an hour, but you have a lot of business expenses on top of that. But generally, if you're running it right and you're keeping your expenses low, you'll still come out more than just a regular employee. And that's the whole point. That's kind of more on the end that I'm geared towards. And you guys will see that in some of my videos. I'm going to be pushing more towards starting your own business and getting on that end of it, because there's way more to be made doing that. But there again, it's not for everybody. Everybody's not going to want to own their own business. They're going to be fine working with people. So I'm going to have stuff that's geared towards you guys as well too, and building up your career and getting certain licenses that will allow you to make more money while working for somebody and not having to worry about the business end of it. So that'll pretty much conclude this video. If you guys have any questions or comments, please feel free to let me know. If you want me to elaborate on things a little bit more, or different pay scales, breaking it down a little bit further, just let me know. Be more than happy to talk to you guys about it.